Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavala Bhagavad-gita Gopi Janavala Bhagavad-gita Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana 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 Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Astatar Sutta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Astatar Sutta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Mar Thakur Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Shri Shri Gaurni Thai Ki Jai Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanumanji Ki Jai Shri Sri Radharasbihari Lalita Vishaka Devi Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru, Shri Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nasta Praeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 83. Chapter is entitled Draupadi Meets the Queens of Krishna. And today we're reading text 2, 3, and 4. Text 2. Ta evam lokanatena pariprashta susatkritaha pratyuchurhashta manasas tatpadikshahatam hasa ta evam lokanatenaha pariprishta susatkritaha pratyuchurhashta manasas tatpradikshahatam hasaha tam eva lokanatenaha pariprishta susatkritaha pratyuchurhashta manasas tatpadikshahatam hasaha. Please chant. Tameva lokanatena pariprashta susatkritaha pratyuchurhashta manasas tatpadikshahatam hasaha tameva lokanatena pariprashta susatkritaha pratyuchurhashta manasas tatpadikshahatam hasaha tameva lokanatena pariprashta susatkritaha pratyuchurhashta manasas tatpadikshahatam hasaha tameva lokanatena pariprashta susatkritaha pratyuchurhashta manasas tatpadikshahatam hasaha. Any Vaishnavis would like to chant? Te, they, Yudhishthira and Lord Krishna's other relatives. Evam, thus, loka, of the universe, natena, by the Lord, paripushtaha, questioned, su, very much, satkritaha, honored, pratyuchahu, replied, hasta, joyful, manasaha, whose minds, tat, his, para, the feet, iksha, by seeing, hata, destroyed, amhasaha, whose sins, translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace Srila Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Feeling greatly honored, King Yudhishthira and the others, freed of all sinful reactions by seeing the feet of the Lord of the universe, gladly answered his inquiries. Okay, we'll read text 3 and 4. I'll just read myself. Kuto sivam twach charanam bujasavam mahan manasto mukha nishritam kvachit pibhanti ekarna puter alam prabho deham britam dehakrit asmriti chidham. Translation. Lord Krishna's relatives said, O Master, how can misfortune arise for those who have even once freely drunk the nectar coming from your lotus feet? This intoxicating liquor pours into the drinking cups of their ears, having flowed from the minds of great devotees through their mouths. It destroys the embodied soul's forgetfulness of the Creator of their bodily existence. Text 4. Hi tvat madhama vibhutatma krita trivashtam ananda samplava makanda makunda bodham kalo prasta nigama mavana ata yoga maya kritam paramahamsa gatim natasma. Translation. The radiance of your personal form dispels the threefold effects of material consciousness, and by your grace we become immersed in total happiness. Your knowledge is indivisible and unrestricted. By your Yoga Maya potency, you have assumed this human form for protecting the Vedas, which has been threatened by time. We bow down to you, the final destination of perfect saints. Purport. Simply by the effulgent light emanating from the beautiful form of Lord Krishna, one's intelligence is purified of all material contamination, and thus the soul's various entanglements in the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance are dispelled. How then, the Lord's relatives imply, can we ever suffer misfortune? We are always immersed in absolute happiness. This is their answer to his inquiry about their welfare. Tam eva lokanatena pariprishta susatkritaha pratyachur hashta manasas tatpadeksha hatam hasaha om jnana tunandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshur unmilitam jena tasmai shri gurave namaha Shri Chaitanya manobishtam stapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna. So it's my great honor and pleasure to be here today. Thank you so much. I'd like to seek the blessings of all senior devotees here. Tattvavid Prabhu is here. Ramrup Prabhu is here. Thank you so much. Maharaj is here. Haribo. Jaiho. Nanda Krishna Maharaj ki jai. And thank you all for coming today. The Shrotagan, the devotees who will hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And we're so grateful to all of you. We're reading today from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, text 83. It's entitled Draupadi Meets the Queens of Krishna. And also I'd like to take this opportunity to wish everyone a very Happy New Year. Happy New Year. So this is a wonderful way to begin the new year and continue the whole year by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Because Srimad Bhagavatam is our very means of conquest over the material existence. Nasta prayeshu adreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. Everything inauspicious, amangalam, is gradually destroyed by Srimad Bhagavatam. So in the previous chapter, chapter number 82, that was called Krishna Meets the Inhabitants of Vrindavan. Lord Krishna and Balaram meet the inhabitants of Vrindavan. So what had happened was, there was a solar eclipse. There was a Surya Grahan. So because of Surya Grahan, everyone in Bharat, they were contemplating to go to Kurukshetra because it was a very holy place. And Parashuram, he had killed Kshatriyas 21 times. So he made Panchakunds, he made Samanta Panchak, which was five kunds by which you could take snan during the Surya Grahan and become free of your sins. So all the residents of Bharat, they were saying, yes, let's go there. So so Krishna and Balaram, Krishna came from Dwarka with the Yadavas, and the residents of Vrindavan, they came to Kurukshetra, and people from all over India had come there. So Kunti Devi, she met her brother Vasudeva, and the Yadavas meant the residents of Vrindavan. And Lord Krishna came from Dwarka with all of his wives. Imagine 16,108 wives. Krishna was there. So many people were there. Krishna and Balaram, they embraced each other. They bowed down before Mother Yashoda and Nanda. And Yashoda lifted their sons on their laps and embraced them. And Rohini and Devaki, they embraced Yashoda. And then Lord Krishna, he went to a secluded place and he spoke with the gopis. And he shared that actually the Supreme, I'm the Supreme, but the Supreme is all pervasive and the source of all energies. And thus we are never separated from him. Thus you gopis are never separated from me. Krishna is consoling the gopis. And the gopis offered their prayer that actually we just pray to have you always in our hearts. So this is a great prayer that we should take inspiration from, because the gopis are the greatest of all devotees. And what did they want? Did they want Dhanam, Janam, Sundarim? None of these things they wanted. They wanted only to have Krishna in their hearts. And they wanted to stay in Vrindavan. They did not want to come to Dwarka. They wanted to stay in Vrindavan and be busy in their activities and always remember Krishna, feel his presence in every step of their lives. So sometimes devotees say, why should I stay in Bombay? Why don't I go stay in Vrindavan? But we should follow in the footsteps of the gopis and do Krishna's seva and remember Krishna at every step of our lives. And how to remember Krishna at every step of our lives? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Actually, Srila Prabhupada said these ISKCON centers are embassies of the spiritual world. So this ISKCON, Juhu, SriSriRadhaRasbihariTemple is non-different from Vrindavan. So then today we're reading chapter 83, which is Draupadi meets the queens of Krishna. And we're just at the very beginning of the chapter. And in the beginning of the chapter, Krishna is getting a chance to meet many personalities who he has not met for a long time. And in the beginning of this chapter, he's meeting the Pandavas. And especially King Yudhishthira is coming to meet Krishna. So Krishna is inquiring about their welfare. It's the tradition, it's the etiquette. The seniors should inquire about the welfare of the juniors. So Krishna is inquiring, how is everything with you? And this is similar that when Srila Prabhupada would meet devotees, he would always ask, how are you? And is everything okay? Jai Shri Shri Gornitai Ki Jai. SriSriRadhaRasbihariTemple Ki Jai. Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanumanji Ki Jai. So Srila Prabhupada would ask, is everything okay? And just by having Prabhupada ask them, then everything would automatically become okay. All of their anxiety and all of their difficulties would just evaporate, dissipate. So Krishna is asking Yudhishthira, how are you? Is everything okay? And then this morning I was reading a Krishna book. And this is what Srila Prabhupada writes in Krishna book as Yudhishthira Maharaj's response to Lord Krishna. This is from Krishna book. He says, my dear Lord, great personalities, my dear Lord Krishna, great personalities and devotees in full Krishna consciousness always think of your lotus feet and remain fully satisfied by drinking the nectar of transcendental bliss. The nectar which they constantly drink sometimes comes out of their mouths and is sprinkled on others as the narration of your transcendental activities. This nectar coming from the mouth of a devotee is so powerful that if one is fortunate enough to have the opportunity to drink it, he is immediately freed from the continuous journey of birth and death. Our material existence is caused by our forgetfulness of your personality, but fortunately, the darkness of forgetfulness is immediately dissipated if one is privileged to hear about your glories. Therefore, my dear Lord, where is the possibility of ill fortune for one who is constantly engaged in hearing your glorious activities? So, Yudhisthira Maharaj ki jai. There's such a beautiful statement from Yudhisthira Maharaj. He's explaining, how am I? How could I be anything but Sumangala, but good, because I have the opportunity to hear about your glories. So Srila Prabhupada has given all of us an opportunity to hear about Lord Krishna's glories. So how could anything be inauspicious in our lives? All of us who have the opportunity to hear Krishna Katha, our life is perfect. Our life is so blessed by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada's devotees. Srila Prabhupada is so magnanimous. He's so kind that he shared this greatest gift of Krishna Katha with all of us. Imagine where all of us would be today if Srila Prabhupada had not traveled on the Jaladuta and given us an opportunity to hear Krishna Katha. Imagine if Srila Prabhupada had not compiled Srimad Bhagavatam. Where would all of us be today? There's a beautiful verse in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, very famous verse, 1031.9. 1031.9. Many of us, you know this verse. Please chant along with me. Tava katam ritam tapta jivanam kavir bir iditam kalmashapaham Shravana mangalam Srimadatatam Bhuvi Grinantiye Bhurida Janaha. That Lord Krishna is with the gopis, it's the Gopi Gita, and the gopis are describing the qualities of one who is chanting Krishna Katha. And what is the effect of this Krishna Katha? Tava Katam Ritam. It's Tava, your Katha, your talks Amritam are like nectar. Tapta Jivanam. Jivanam means to give life. Those who are suffering in the material existence, all of us, this Tapta Jivanam, it's giving us Jivanam, Sanjivani, it's giving us life in this material existence, this dark material existence. Kavir bir iditam, all the great sages, all those kavis, all those great thinkers explain kalmashapaham, that the sinful activities, the sinful reactions of those hearing Krishna Katha, katam hogya, finished. The sinful reactions become vanquished. Sarva dharman prityaja Mamekam sharanam vraja Mamekam sharanam vraja Aham tvam sarva papebhyo Aham tvam sarva pape Mokshayishami ma suchaha Mokshayishami ma. That when we surrender to Krishna, He takes away all of our sinful reactions. When we hear Krishna Katha, all of our sinful reactions are vanquished. When we chant the holy names, all of our sinful reactions are vanquished. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare. Kalmasha apaham, that the sinful reactions are driven away. Shravana mangalam, just shravana, to hear. Mangalam, everything becomes auspicious. Srimad atatam, Srimad means filled with power, filled with energy, filled with Shri, Srimad Bhagavatam. This morning I was thinking, Bhagavatam is Srimad. It's filled with Shakti, it's filled with energy, and it's so beautiful. Srimad Atatam. Atatam means broadcast all over the world. Bhuvi Grinantiye. In the material world, Grinanti. Grinanti means to chant. Sab log boliye, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare. So those who Grinanti, Bhuvi Grinantiye, Burida Janaha. Burida means munificent. Janaha, those persons. So Srila Prabhupada and the followers of Srila Prabhupada are so munificent for distributing this Krishna Katha all over the world. And as Yudhisthira Maharaj says in today's verses, how could anything be wrong? We have the opportunity to hear Krishna Katha. So the followers of Srila Prabhupada, we should be messengers. We should carry the message of Krishna Katha and distribute this message to others. In this way, we also can become burida. We can become munificent, carrying the wonderful message that Srila Prabhupada has given us. So, Srila Prabhupada has a really unique position because he's the one that's provided this shiksha. He's the prominent primary shiksha guru of all of the ISKCON devotees. So he's giving us this shiksha, he's giving us this message, this sandesh, by which we should become purified and also distribute that purification. And in today's verses, it's mentioned that by hearing this Krishna Katha, we can overcome the modes of material nature. In the purport today, and in the 4th verse, it's mentioned that the radiance of your personal form dispels the threefold effects of material consciousness. So, by this illumination, then the tree of Ishtam, the 3 modes, are dissipated. So we hear a beautiful verse in Bhagavad-gita 14:26. Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitjaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So, mam chayo vyabhicharena, if we engage in devotional service that's avyabhicharena, without any ceasing, without any stop, that's uninterrupted, savai pum samparo dharmo, savai. Yato bhakti red hoksajay. Ahoitakiya pratiyata. Yatma suprasidati. Ahoitaki apratiyata should be unmotivated and uninterrupted. Ahoitaki apratita. Mam chayo avyabhicharena. If it's uninterrupted, bhakti yogena sevate. Then sagunan samatityaitan. One can overcome the modes. Sagunan samatityaitan. The sattva gun, rajagun, tamagun. We can overcome these three modes. Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate, attain the platform of Brahman. And then there's another verse that speaks about the importance of overcoming the modes. Prakriti Kriyamanani, Prakriti Gunai Karmani Sarvashaha, Ahankara Vimudatma, Kartaham iti manyate. That the spirit soul is bewildered, vimudha, by the three modes of material nature. He thinks himself the doer, kartaham iti manyate, thinks, karta, aham, I am the doer. Sagunan samatityaitan, Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Thank you. So in this way, we can overcome the three modes of material nature by engaging in hearing and chanting Krishna Katha. So let us reflect on our new beginnings of our spiritual resolutions for the new year. New Year is coming up. Let us try for this Mam Chayo Vyabhicharena, uninterrupted devotional service, so that sagunan samatityaitan, we can overcome these modes. So, Srila Prabhupada was a wonderful example and is a wonderful example of someone in this consciousness, mam chayo vyabhicharena, above the modes of material nature, above the material contamination. Srila Prabhupada is like a lotus flower in the water, on top of the water. Srila Prabhupada was on top of the material energy, but Srila Prabhupada did not get wet. Srila Prabhupada did not get affected by the material energy. So we see amazing examples of this. Recently, I was with His Grace Shrutakirti Prabhu, Haribo. And Shrutakirti Prabhu was sharing with me that wherever he traveled with Srila Prabhupada, and the secretary of Paramahamsa, they would go through so many time zones. Srila Prabhupada would travel to Australia, minimum 14 hours flight. And Srila Prabhupada would cross so many time zones. But wherever Srila Prabhupada traveled, he would immediately get into the time zone of the local routine. He would, even though he would be coming into like 12 hours different time zone, at 9 o'clock he would have breakfast, evening time he'd go to sleep, midnight he would wake up and translate Srimad Bhagavatam, and he would be fresh and strong. Meanwhile, Shrutakirti Prabhu and other servants, they would be struggling as young men just to deal with the time zones and the exhaustive travel. So Srila Prabhupada was untouched by this material consideration. And I personally just traveled only 2.5 hours time zone 2 days ago from Kanaya Desh, Middle East to Mumbai. And still I'm feeling just 2.5 hours time difference. I'm still feeling a confused car. I'm feeling a little bit not proper in my strength and consciousness. But Prabhupada would never get affected. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada was able to adapt with the changes, any changes, because of his spiritual Shakti. Another example of Srila Prabhupada being above the modes is he would get angry, but for the service of Krishna. And then immediately after his service was finished, to instruct others with his anger, boom, immediately, anger would dissipate, it would be gone. Another example is Srila Prabhupada's transcendental energy, that he was on his deathbed in Vrindavan, and his practically only skin and bones lying on the bed, and devotees were massaging Prabhupada. He was accepting their seva. And the doctor was saying anyone in this physical condition would be in full pain, and it would be unbearable pain. But Srila Prabhupada was transcendental to the material physical condition that he was in. And he accepted the massage seva from devotees and continued to translate Srimad Bhagavatam until his last breath. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we should meditate on this as we traverse through the new year, and understand that we should persevere in our spiritual practices despite so many inconveniences and so much pain and difficulties. Another example of Srila Prabhupada transcending the modes, establishing ISKCON in the West, practically an impossible task, arriving in the West with no money and demonstrating unlimited faith and determination, and then establishing the Krishna consciousness movement. Samstapak, he's ISKCON Samstapak Acharya. He established ISKCON throughout the whole world. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So as we traverse through the new year, let us overcome obstacles with faith and devotion, taking inspiration from Srila Prabhupada. Another example, Srila Prabhupada was on the Jaladuta, had 2 heart attacks, but his physical condition did not stop him from his mission. He continued preaching, traveling, and reached the Western countries. And he never lost faith. So taking inspiration in the new year, we should not lose faith when we face obstacles in our devotional service. What kind of obstacles we face? Prasadam is not on time, or someone forgot to save prasadam for me when I came back from book distribution. Srila Prabhupada is facing obstacles like 2 heart attacks, but Srila Prabhupada is unstoppable. So we should see the difficulties as opportunities for spiritual growth. It's an opportunity. Another example, Srila Prabhupada's compassion for all living entities. Once a devotee was killing a mosquito, macha, and Srila Prabhupada said there is an Atma also in that macha, in that mosquito. So don't kill mosquitoes unnecessarily. But Srila Prabhupada said, if you're being attacked, he's an aggressor, then you can go for it. But we should not kill other living entities. We should take advantage of seeing Srila Prabhupada's compassion. And ahimsa, non-violence. Amanadvam adamvidvam ahimsa kshartam arjavam. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, 13th chapter Bhagavad-gita, text 8 through 12, ahimsa, real non-violence, means giving real spiritual knowledge to others to help eradicate ignorance. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And then we see another example, Srila Prabhupada's transcendental vision, seeing how to engage others in Krishna consciousness. There was a beetle, George Harrison, Shriman George Harrison. Srila Prabhupada purified him and engaged him and spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. Once in Philadelphia, devotees were asked to raise their hand. Who came to Krishna consciousness by hearing George Harrison's song, My Sweet Lord, Hare Krishna, My Sweet Lord, Krishna, Krishna, I really want to know you, Hare Rama, I really want to see you, Hare Krishna, I really want to love you, Lord. So 90% of the devotees in the room had come to Krishna consciousness by hearing that song, My Sweet Lord, by George Harrison, after Srila Prabhupada had preached to him. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Now, personally, I had an experience the other day. Hare Krishna. Jai Ho. I had an experience. I was in the airport and I was stopped at the immigration and I was asked to go and see the police because I had an old court case that got resolved during the lockdown. We had traveled from Pune to Pandharpur and the police caught us, but it got resolved. So I had to meet all the police. I gave them prasadam. I quoted some shloks. I told them some jokes. And we chanted, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. And they released me, and one of the policemen was saying, the policeman taking me out, he's saying, I'm very happy and proud that you're representing our religion, Sanatan Dharma, all over the world. Haribo. So Srila Prabhupada was once asked, can you do a miracle? And Srila Prabhupada said, pointed to his Western disciples and said, these are my miracles. And Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Srila Prabhupada has created a miracle with all of us. He's freed us from the modes of material nature by engaging us in seva, by enabling us to hear Krishna Katha, and by enabling us to chant the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So in conclusion, I'd like to share Shrutakirti Prabhu's eye of the storm analogy. So in the hurricane, in the big hurricane, there are very fast winds, 100 miles an hour winds. Very, very powerful winds. And the trees are getting knocked down, houses are getting knocked down, cars are flying in the air. But in the middle of the storm, it's called the eye of the storm. As the storm is going around, in the middle, Bijme, it's very, very quiet. The winds are very slow and it's very quiet. So the weather forecast people, they were looking at the satellite image and seeing the eye of the storm. And they saw there were some black spots in the eye of the storm. And those black spots were birds. Because the birds know if they go outside into the storm, they'll be killed, they'll be finished. So for sometimes 2 or 3 days, the birds will fly along with the storm moving and stay in the eye of the storm. So in the same way, this material world is filled with so much Maya. Everyone's getting swept away by Maya at every moment. But in the middle of the Maya, there's the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. There's like a bubble. There's an eye of the storm, a quiet section, and that is the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada's seva, Srila Prabhupada's instructions, and Srila Prabhupada's devotees' sangam. So let us stay within the eye of the storm of Srila Prabhupada's shelter And then we will all be safe from Maya, and we can overcome the material sufferings of this existence. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions or comments? Do we have a mic? Oh, there's a hand back there. Yeah, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for such a nice class. Maharaj, you are glorifying Krishna Katha in the beginning of your lecture. So we hear about Krishna Katha, that Krishna Katha can save us from death. So it's like sometimes the question comes that we see devotees also, they go through this experience of death. So how we can prove to outsiders that Krishna Katha saves us from death? Because they say that devotees also go through that same experience.
Thank you for your nice question. Let me see if I understand your question properly. You're asking, how can we prove to outsiders that hearing Krishna Katha saves us from death? That's correct. So we all have to accept one kind of praman or proof. So this proof, some people accept the newspapers, some people accept the scientists, and some people accept the shastras. Are you translating for your friends? Hindi अनुवाद चलेंगे? Yeah. Good. So some may say, some scientists may say that there's no life after death. And scriptures, of course, talk about punarjanma, life after death. Abrahma bhuvana loke punarvartino juna mamupeta tukanteya punarjanmana vidyate. So Bhagavad-gita explains that we perform devotional service, then punarjanma na vidyate. Punarjanma does not take birth. And then we can share with them about the presence of the existence of the soul, as mentioned in Bhagavad-gita. Dehinosmin yata dehe komaram yovanam chara tata dehantara praptir dhirastatra namuyati. That the embodied soul passing in this body from boyhood to youth to old age similarly passes into another body at the time of death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So then our materialistic person may say, my dear devotee, you say that there is a soul, an Atma, but I don't see him. Can you prove to me that the Atma exists? Again, it comes to the point of which praman that we wish to accept. Although we can give some logical argument also. We can say that the Atma, the soul, can be experienced by its symptoms. And we can also say consciousness is a symptom of the soul. And we can also tell him, my dear sir, you do not see electricity, yet we accept electricity exists. So you can tell electricity by the symptoms of electricity. You plug in the fan, turn on the fan, fan chal raha hai, right? It goes. If you put your hand in the electric socket, you experience it by its symptoms. So we understand that electricity exists by its symptoms. So similarly, we accept the soul exists by the symptom. And the symptom of the soul is consciousness. If I pinch you here, you can feel it. You experience that. Whereas a dead body, a body with no soul, you pinch a dead body, body will not say anything. So this is proof of the existence of the soul. There also have been scientific studies regarding NDE, near-death experience. That person is lying on the operating table in the hospital. Thousands of cases like this have been documented. Person is undergoing operation. His heart is beating. All of a sudden, flat line, that the heartbeat goes. And the person is dead. And then the doctors say, revive him, revive him. And they take these electric shocker and they go. And then again the heart starts. And later they interview these people and they say, what happened while you were dead? And he said, I felt like I was rising above my body and looking down to see. And I could see myself and I could hear what the doctors were saying. And then those people, many of them, repeat the statements of the doctors so accurately that the doctors were amazed. How could he repeat that statement so exactly while under anesthesia in the middle of the operation? So we see that this is another proof, according to the scientific research, of the existence of the soul. So there are some other proofs also, like the PLE, past life experience, that people, even young children, they recount their past life experiences. Just like there was a young girl in Mumbai, and she was speaking in a different language, and her relatives brought her to that place where the language was spoken, and she said, this is my village, this is my house, let's go inside. But the place where she went, there was no door. But the people inside later explained that the door had been there 80 years earlier. They had shifted the door. And they met one grown man there. And she said, this is my son. And she was a small girl. In her previous life, that man had been her son. So like this, there are many cases of PLE, past life experience, by which we can share with a materialistic person reasonable data that can give some proof of the existence of the soul. And when we have proof of the existence of the soul, we can also share with them shlokas from the scriptures like Bhagavad-gita 4.6, 8.6. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavan, yam yam vapi smaran chantante ante kalevaram, tam tam eva tikonteya, Sadhatad bhava bhavataha. That whatever one remembers at the time of death, one attains without fail. If one remembers Krishna at the time of death, one goes to Krishna. By reading scriptures, one can remember Krishna, and in this way, scriptures, hearing Krishna Katha saves one from death. So this is a reasonable argument that a materialistic person may or may not accept. Because one who is convinced against his will remains of the same opinion still. Okay, so if someone doesn't want to accept your prachar, then they won't accept it, no matter how good your arguments are. So people don't want to know how much you know. People want to know how much you care. So to such a person, we should treat them very sweetly, give them Krishna Prasadam, give them Krishna Katha, and be their well-wisher. Try to help them to the best of our ability. Then they may accept our prachar. Oh, these people are so nice. Let me hear what they have to say. Tattvavid Prabhu, would you like to add anything additional to what I just shared? Thank you so much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hare Hare Bol.